In NASCAR's 75-year history, there have been many numbers come and go. On any given weekend, you will see 36 to 40 unique numbers on the track, and each of those numbers has a story to tell. Hi, I'm your host Matt, and this is NASCAR Number History, presented by Dogleg Media. In this series, we told the stories of each of those unique numbers. However, I didn't tell the full story for numbers 1 through 15, and now that the season and series is over, it's time to do the numbers that got this series and channel started justice. We go in numerical order, and today we remaster numbers 6 through 10 and tell the whole story. We will address the drivers that I left out in the first installment, and we're also going to address the change in history since that first episode. If you haven't seen the series, the Cup Series Number History playlist is linked below. But with that intro out of the way, let's remaster some more NASCAR Number History. We start this one off with the 6, and it has way more winners than I would have guessed. And let me tell you, we missed quite a few of them the first go around. Here is the 6. It has 83 total wins with 12 different drivers. It's competed in 1,834 races and counting with a 4.5 win percentage. The first to drive the 6 would also be the number's first winner, Marshall Teague. Sure, I mentioned him in the original, but I left out some interesting information. The first race for the number would come at Daytona Beach in 1949, where Teague would finish 14th. He would then return to Daytona Beach in 1951 with the 6 and get the number its first win. All in all, Marshall would win 7 times in his career, all coming in the number. And so yeah, as we move to the driver with the most wins, it should come as no surprise who it is. Mark Martin made the 6 his home, winning 35 times with it. He would pilot the Roush 6 machine from 1988 until 2006, making 619 total starts with the number. And y'all want to hear a crazy stat about Martin's time with the 6? Of his 619 starts, he would record 230 top 5s. That is a 37% top 5 rate, which is higher than Jimmy Johnson's top 5 rate with the 48. He was a menace to his competition during this time, making the fact that he never won a title even more heartbreaking. I actually doubt anyone will make a run for Mark's title of winningest driver in the 6 during my lifetime, but hey, crazier things have happened. And now we move to a long list of other winners, 9 to be exact, starting with the Silver Fox, David Pearson. Pearson held the title of winningest for quite some time until Martin hit the scene, winning 27 times with the number. What is impressive about these wins is he would earn them in a 4-year stretch with Owens Racing from 1964 to 1967. Pearson would also win the 1966 championship with the number, being so dominant that he would win the title and miss 6 races during the season. He would only make 165 starts with the number, coming before his legendary time with the Wood brothers. Next is Cotton Owens with 6 total wins. He would get these wins with various teams, half coming as an owner-driver at Owens Racing. Owens is our 3rd Hall of Famer mentioned for the number, being inducted in 2013. Now we have a long list of one-time winners that for time's sake we will speed through, starting with Herb Thomas. Another 2013 Hall of Fame inductee, Thomas would grab his lone win with the number in 1951 at Jacksonville. He would only make 2 starts with the number, showing he didn't need much time to grab a win with it. Danny Letner is another one-time winner with the number. His lone win would come in 1955 at Tucson. Danny would only make 3 starts with the 6, so another driver to get it done when he had the chance. Joe Eubanks is next, and he made 6 starts in the 6. His lone win came in 1958 at Hillsboro. And here's a familiar name to the series. Bobby Allison would grab 1 lone win with the 6. It would come with the previously mentioned Owens Racing at Birmingham in 1967, making only 9 starts with the number. Next is Pete Hamilton, grabbing his win with the 6 at Daytona in 1971. The 1970 Daytona 500 winner would earn his last career win in the 6, driving for Cotton Owens. And we move to Charlie Glotzback, who to nobody's surprise would get his victory in the 6 driving for Owens. His win would come in 1968 at Charlotte. This would be his first of 4 total career victories. And finally we have Buddy Baker, winning the 1970 Southern 500 for Owens Racing. He would make 34 starts in the 6, all coming for Cotton. This segment for the 6 pains me to talk about, because I so badly wanted to say that Brad Keselowski was the most recent winner in the 6. But he came up just short in 2023. A former Roush driver does hold the most recent, with David Reagan's win at Daytona in 2011 being the last for the number. Don't worry, Keselowski fans, his time is coming. I know it is. And now on to honorable mentions. Suarez fan mentioned Ryan Newman. He would spend 3 seasons in the 6 from 2018 until 2021. His most notable moment would come in the 2020 Daytona 500. He would be leading with a few hundred feet to go, looking to score his second 500 win in his career. He would then get turned, and what ensued was probably the scariest crash I have personally ever seen. Thankfully, he would recover and get back to the track after just 3 races missed. Great mention. And we are back to Bad Brad as the current driver. Being a team owner at RFK since 2022, he has completely turned that team around. The team went winless for 4 years before his arrival, and in 2 years as team owner, they have won 4 times, all with his teammate Chris Buescher. Brad will find victory lane again. It's not a matter of if, but when. Do you see Brad getting to victory lane in 2024? And if so, how many times? The 6 has had a lot of winning history, so it will make the achievements of the 7 look small in comparison. It has 23 total wins with 7 different drivers. It's competed in 1,646 total races and counting with a 1.4 win percentage. And much like the 6, the first to drive the 7 would also be the first to win with the number. Bob Flock would first take the 7 to the track in NASCAR's debut at Charlotte in 1949. He would start first in that race, but he finished 32nd. He would break through in NASCAR's first season though, getting the number to victory lane at Okanichi that season. As a matter of fact, he would win twice in 1949, also winning at North Wilkesboro that year. All in all, Flock would make 26 total starts with the 7, winning 4 times. Moving to the driver with the most wins in the 7, it's Jim Reed. And how fitting, he holds the record with 7 total wins. Don't you just love when numbers line up like that? He would win 4 times in 1958, and the remaining 3 would be won the next season in 1959. Something interesting I learned researching Jim is that they were a very low-funded team, and he would be the one to drive the car to and from each track. He would compete in 106 Cup Series events, with all of his wins coming in the 7. And now we get to other winners, and there are 4 to mention before our most recent winner, starting with Alan Kulwicki. Kulwicki was an incredible story, and one of NASCAR's biggest what-ifs. He would be the champion of the 1992 season, which arguably had the greatest season finale in the sport's history. He would run as an owner-driver from 1987 until 1993. All 5 of his career wins would come in his number 7 Ford. Tragically, he would be taken from us in 1993 in an airplane crash, leaving an appearance at a Hooters en route to Bristol. Many speculate what Kulwicki could have accomplished had this not happened. Rest in peace, Alan. Stay 1 lap ahead of us. And we now have 3 one-time winners, beginning with Fonty Flock. He is the brother of Bob Flock, who would get the number its first win. Sure, his brother got 4 wins with the 7, but Fonty only made 3 starts with the number, getting his lone victory with it in 1951 at North Wilkesboro. Next is Frank Mundy, and he would get his victory with the 7 in the same season as Fonty would, winning at Martinsville in 1951. He would actually win in his first attempt with the number, making 4 additional starts for Ted Chester in 1952. And finally we have Kyle Petty. This came with the Wood brothers. You know, when they ditched their iconic number 21 for the 7 to coincide with new sponsor 7-Eleven. I get it. It was a cool tie-in, kind of like the Jack Daniels 07 car. But it's the Wood brothers. They need to run the 21. Anyway, enough about that rant. Kyle's lone win with the number would be the first of his career, coming in 1986 at Richmond. And finally we get to the last to win, and it would be the savior of Hendrick Motorsports, Jeff Bodine. He would actually win 4 times with the number, all as an owner-driver at Jeff Bodine Racing. He would win 3 times in 1994, with the final for the number coming at Watkins Glen in 1996. This one has had a long winless drought, but I think that its current driver is more than capable of breaking it. And now on to some honorable mentions from you, the viewer. Hib, Divine, and Tony Meows all mentioned Robbie Gordon. After leaving RCR in 2004, he would start his own team, Robbie Gordon Motorsports, and would run the 7 from 2005 until 2012. He would struggle for the most part during this time, but still performed well at road courses, with 2 runner-up finishes and 5 top 5s. He also had a really cool Jim Beam scheme too. This is a great mention. And that brings us to the current driver, Corey LaJoie. He has been with the 7 since joining Spire Motorsports. Well, except for that one race where he was in the 9. He has come close to victory, being in contention on the final lap at Atlanta in 2022. I think he is more than capable of winning a superspeedway race. And who knows, with the improvements happening at Spire, he may be able to compete elsewhere too. We now move to one of two fan favorite numbers for this installment. Let's get into the number 8. The 8 has 44 total wins with 5 different drivers. It's competed in 1,510 races and counting, and it has a 2.9 win percentage. The first to drive the number 8 would be Billy Carden. He would first run the number at Daytona Beach in 1949. He would finish 12th in this attempt. It would make a total of 20 starts with the number. So for the 6 and 7, the first to drive was also the first to win. For the 8, the driver to first win with it is also the winningest driver. Joe Weatherly would first take the 8 to victory lane in 1961 at Daytona during a qualifying race. Weatherly would pilot the 8 for Bud Moore Engineering and would amass an impressive 20 wins with the number from 1961 until 1963. This would include back-to-back championships with the number in 1962 and 1963. Sadly, Weatherly would be killed while driving the number. He would succumb to injuries sustained during a race at Riverside in 1964. It was the first of 2 occasions where the defending champion would pass away the next season, the second being the previously mentioned Alan Kulwicki. We now move to the list of other winners, and there are 3 to get to before discussing the current driver of the number. We start with arguably NASCAR's most popular driver ever, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jr. would be known for his Budweiser number 8 he would pilot from 1999 until 2007 for his father's team DEI. He would come close to Joe's record 20 wins with the number, visiting victory lane 17 times with it. Some incredible moments were had between Jr. and the 8, like winning the first race back at Daytona after his father's passing in 2001, or his Daytona 500 crown in 2004. So many fond memories of Jr. and his time with the 8, even if the final couple of years were anything but that. Next we move to Tyler Reddick. He is only 1 year removed from piloting the 8, and in his short time with it, he would visit victory lane 3 times. As a matter of fact, he would have his breakout season with it, with all 3 wins coming in 2022. He had an ugly breakup with RCR, and is now enjoying his time at 2311 Racing. Finally, we have Bobby Hillin Jr. He would actually make the second most starts of any driver with the number at 204, running it from 1982 until 1990 for Stavola Brothers Racing. He would collect 1 career win, coming in the 8 at Talladega in 1986. He would become the youngest driver in the modern era to win a race, being just 22 years and 1 month old. Of course, that record has since been broken. Who can tell me the driver that currently holds the record? And there weren't too many honorable mentions for this one, but Pibb mentioned Eric Almirola. This was such a weird sight to see with someone other than Jr. in his famous 8 font. He would also share this seat with Mark Martin. It didn't look right, and I wish a certain someone would allow Jr. to run that font for his team, but oh well. And we have made it to the current driver, Kyle Busch. His breakup with Joe Gibbs Racing would land him in the RCR 8, replacing the previously mentioned Reddick. Busch would impress in his first season with the team, winning in just his second race at Fontana, racking up 3 total wins. I have to admit, I didn't see 3 wins for his first season, so it was a pleasant surprise. His image in the sport has also shifted in a major way. Since about 2008, you would never hear more cheers than boos for Kyle. But this season that changed. He has become a beloved personality in the sport. What do you think caused that change? Let me know down below. And on to the penultimate number for this one, and it's yet another fan favorite. Here is the 9. The 9 has 71 total wins with 6 different drivers. It's competed in 1,763 races and counting, and it has a 4% win percentage. And much like the 6 and 7, the 9's first driver would also be its first winner. Herb Thomas would first take the 9 to the track in 1949 at Daytona Beach, and he would barely earn the title of being the first winner with his win at North Wilkesboro in 1952. Donald Thomas would win with the number a week later, making it 2 in a row for the 9, with Thomas being a week late. And here's another cool stat about Herb's time with the number. He would only ever make 2 starts with it, being the number's first race and the number's first win. That's wild. Moving to the winningest driver of the 9, we have none other than Bill Elliott. There is no better number that symbolizes Bill Elliott than the 9. I mean, that's why his son Chase chose the number for his career. He would run the number for a few different teams, initially with his own team of Elliott Racing. The majority of his success with it, however, would come with Melling Racing from 1982 to 1991. He would win 34 of his 38 total victories with the number during that time, including his lone championship in 1988. His last stint with the number would come with Evernham Motorsports from 2001 to 2003, where he would win 4 times, including his last career win at Rockingham in 2003. Austin Bill from Dawsonville was beloved by the fans, winning NASCAR's most popular driver award 16 times. He would be inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2015, solidifying a truly remarkable career. And on to other winners, and we have 3 before the current driver, starting with Casey Kane. I feel like a lot of fans forget just how good Kane was with the 9. He would succeed Bill Elliott in the 9 for the 2004 season and would pilot it until 2010. While Evernham didn't have the most competitive equipment, it wouldn't stop Kane, winning 11 times during that stretch. He would also win the All-Star race as the fan vote after a gutsy pit strategy late in the race. After Kane, there is Marcos Ambrose. Now is my time to apologize for my sins during the first installment of these numbers. Not only did I spell his name wrong, but I also said that he did open wheel racing. Yeah, laugh it up in the comments. With my newfound love for the supercars and SVG, it makes this mistake even worse. Ambrose was a decorated supercars driver and would come to the States to give NASCAR a try. He would collect 2 wins, both at Watkins Glen. One of those would be a wild battle with Brad Keselowski at the end. It was fun having Marcos around. Come on back, mate. You have some fellow supercar drivers around now. We'll have some fun. And finally, there's the previously mentioned Donald Thomas, who would win the very next weekend after Herb Thomas's first win with the number. Now let's get to some honorable mentions from y'all. Jason True mentioned a really cool fact. Both Bill and Chase Elliott would get their first career wins in the 9, and both of their first wins would come at road courses. Bill's would come at Riverside in 1983, and Chase's would come at Watkins Glen in 2018. I love this fact. Great mention. And then Steelers Nation mentioned Chase's first win, but a special moment surrounding it. With Chase out of fuel, his teammate and 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson would push Elliott to the front stretch to properly celebrate his win. A truly touching moment for such a big moment in the 9's history. Great mentions. And on to Elliott number 2, and he is following in his father's footsteps in more ways than just his last name. Chase Elliott would become the driver of the 9 in 2018 after rebranding the 24 car. He has already shown incredible talent much like his father, winning 18 races and counting, as well as the 2020 Cup Series championship. Sure, he had a very down year in 2023, missing the playoffs as well as 6 races, ultimately going winless for the first time since 2017. I know a lot of Elliott fans are down after this season, but honestly y'all need to stay optimistic. I don't foresee him having another down year unless there's another injury that happens. As a matter of fact, I think that he passes his father for winningest in the number before it's all said and done. What do you think? Is that a hot take, or do you agree with me? On to the final number of this one, and man, it is hurting for success. It has a prospective new driver. Maybe that will get it turned around. Let's finish this one off with the 10. The 10 has 12 total wins with 5 different drivers. It's competed in 1,533 races and counting with a 0.8 win percentage. The first to pilot the 10 would be Fred Johnson in NASCAR's first ever race. He would finish 25th, perhaps being a sign of its struggles to come. He only ever made 4 starts, so no surprise, we don't have any pictures. And the first to win in the 10 has a pretty interesting story. It would be Greg Sachs behind the wheel, winning the 1985 Firecracker 400 at Daytona. This would be Sachs' only career win in 263 starts. 1985 would get off to a rough start for Sachs, with his father's team shutting down just 4 races into the season. Later that year, Dygaard Motorsports asked Sachs to drive their secondary car for R&D purposes at Daytona. This car was not supposed to run the distance competitively. It was meant to test different setups on the car throughout the race. However, Sachs was running well, and the team let him continue on, where he would beat Bill Elliott for the win. This is still regarded as one of the biggest upsets in the sport's history. Moving over to the winningest driver, we have Ricky Rudd. He would win 6 times in the 10 from 1994 until 1999 as an owner-driver at Rudd Performance Motorsports. He would sport the Tide sponsorship, and I'm not gonna lie, this car is nice. Having half of the number's total wins, his biggest win with it would come in 1997, winning the Brickyard 400, his only crown jewel win. And on to other winners for the last time in this one, and we have two of them, starting with Derek Cope. Ah yes, the miraculous 1990 Daytona 500 winner, Derek Cope. Thought to be the biggest upset in the sport's history, it would come at the expense of Earnhardt fans. Cope would, however, back up this win with yet another victory that season, this time at Dover. Cope would make 106 starts in the 10, all coming for Bob Whitcomb from 1989 until 1992. And finally there's Johnny Benson Jr. He would get one win with the number, coming at Rockingham in 2002. This would come for MB2 Motorsports, and man, that number font is amazing, and his Valvoline scheme is one of my personal favorites for the sponsor. Now we discuss the last to win with the 10. It would be Eric Almirola in his somewhat upset victory at New Hampshire in 2021. Eric would spend 6 seasons behind the wheel of the Stewart-Haas Racing 10 Mustang. He would ultimately grab 2 wins, with his first coming at Talladega. He was always consistent. It's a shame he didn't collect more than 2 wins in his time with it. And on to honorable mentions for the last time in this one. Stephanie, Chris Belfan, and Buttman all mentioned Danica Patrick. Sure, she never found victory lane, but she did accomplish some major milestones. She is the only female driver to win a pole position in NASCAR, and she holds the record for most top 10s for a woman driver. Oh, and Ace wanted me to mention the #1 rule of stock car racing involving Patrick, and I'll just leave it at that. She definitely made strides for female drivers in the sport, and we now have an abundance of them. Great mention. Well, I waited long enough to make this remaster that we can now cover the newly named driver of the 10. It was widely speculated, and now it is confirmed that Noah Gragson will be behind the wheel of the 10 for 2024. His personality fits Stewart-Haas, and we know he has the talent to win. Just look at his Xfinity Series record. However, with the decline of the team in terms of speed, it could be a struggle for Gragson to compete. Let's just hope that if he does find victory lane, he doesn't lose his stomach like he did many times in the Xfinity Series with Junior Motorsports. And that'll do it for numbers 6 through 10. This wasn't as much information as 1 through 5, but it feels good to have told the complete history of this set. As always, I'm prone to forgetting drivers. Let me know anyone I may have missed for this one down below. We will be back next time to finish up the remaster with numbers 11 through 15. If you haven't seen the rest of the series, the number history playlist will be linked below. Be sure to check it out. And if you liked the video, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. It helps a ton and I definitely appreciate it. And did you know that 71% of my viewers aren't subscribed, but they are returning viewers? If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you waiting for? As always, I want to thank the Dogleg team for all of their help. Darkseid, Dice, Christian, Chili, Elite, and The Gamer, y'all are a big part in making the channel and the community as good as it can be. Be sure to check out the community tab of the channel. We do cool little giveaways like autographed merch and diecast, as well as post polls and updates for the channel. You don't want to miss it. And we also have a Discord server. Find the invite in the About section of the channel or in the description below to join us over there for even more fun and learning. But that'll do it for us here at Dogleg Media. I'm Matt, your host, and you've been watching NASCAR Number History. I'll see you next time.